Boondocking can be intimidating, and as you saw last week, it doesn't always go as planned. We messed up. I didn't think about the angle we were going to be pulling into this little road.
A branch hit the roof.
This week, we're continuing our boondocking series and breaking down everything you need to know about power and water while living in your RV off-grid. What if you've never boondocked before? What are your options when it comes to your power system? Anybody can boondock with pretty much any setup. And in an unexpected twist of fate, you're even gonna get to join us as we find out what happens when our off-grid power source fails.
Weird is when I woke up this morning, the batteries were dead, the RV was off, even though we didn't run anything.
So we're out here boondocking right now in Leadville, Colorado, which is apparently the highest city in America. Highest as in highest elevation, which is a major reason why we came here, because it's summer, it's hot, and we chase high elevation if we're gonna be boondocking. So let's talk a little bit about power while you're boondocking. As you can see, we have lights on. My microwave is even on. We are running our fridge and all the things because we have our off-grid power system set up. But what if you've never boondocked before? What are your options when it comes to your power system? The first, if you have your RV straight from the factory, no changes made, maybe it came with a panel to run your fridge if you've got one like ours, you can go boondocking using just the batteries in your RV. Now with that, you're probably gonna be limited in the amount of time you can go boondocking for because those batteries aren't gonna last forever. You've gotta have a way to charge them, which we'll talk about in just a minute. But on your batteries, you can usually run things like your lights, your water pump, your furnace. Pretty much anything that doesn't have to plug into an electrical outlet, you can run off your RV batteries. That's why they were made the way they were made. But if you're like, I need to use my outlets, I want to be able to plug stuff in, then you're going to need an inverter. That is going to convert your DC power over to AC, and I'm not going to get too involved in all of the electrical stuff. Craig would really be the one for that anyways. But if you want to be able to use your outlets, you're going to have an inverter. Granted, if you're using an inverter and using things that plug in, you're going to use a lot more power. So you're either going to need a bigger battery bank or a way to charge the batteries that you have. One of the easiest ways to charge your batteries without investing in a huge expensive solar system is a generator. We use this for pretty much an entire year as our main power source for charging our batteries. So if you're thinking about getting into boondocking, you're not really sure if you're gonna like it, before spending a lot of money, get a generator, go out, try it out, and see if you like it. A few of the things you might want to look for when looking for a generator is one, looking for an inverter generator. Those are generally going to be quieter, a little more portable, and the way they operate, it helps to not just be basically ramped up at a high power all the time. It just ramps up when it needs to, when there's a power draw on it. Again, not going to get into too nitty-gritty details of the electrical stuff. But another thing you might want to look for is having a 30 amp plug-in on the generator itself. Then you can just use a dog bone adapter if you have a 50 amp, and then you'll be able to hook your RV right into your generator very easily. The last thing is thinking about how big of a generator, what size, how many watts. If you want to be able to run your AC, ACs generally take about 1,500 running watts. We got this Westinghouse iGen 4500. It's 3,700 running watts, 4,500 peak watts. So it was always able to let one of our ACs start up and run for as long as we wanted to run the generator. What you think, Maverick? It's been a long time since you've seen this thing out, huh? We're showing it off to people. Okay, you can also get generators that run off either gas or propane. We just have one that runs off gas, and that's worked pretty well.
So we have solar. That's the way we boondock typically now, unless something messes up. The way it works is the solar panels collect the sun and collect the energy from the sun, and then the solar panels send it to a charge controller that sends it into a battery, and it fills your battery bank up and keeps it charged. And that way we can, through our inverter and our batteries, we can use everything inside the RV even when we're not plugged in. So we went with 2,800 watts of solar, even though we only have 300 amp hours of battery. But the reason we went with such a high number of watts on the solar was so we could run our AC unit during the heat of the day. Typically, we're not going to be boondocking where it's 90 degrees outside, 80 degrees at night. We'll be in a place and it'll get up to like 80 degrees during the day and cool back off. Well, if it does get that hot, from like 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, we can turn our AC on and run it till 3 or 4 o'clock in the evening to keep the inside of the RV cool. And by that time, the sun has started to go down and it's not as hot outside. So it just kind of keeps us cool, but that's why we went with 2,800 watts of solar on the roof. The battery bank, I do wish it was bigger, but we went with Battleborn batteries in the beginning when we first started buying them, and they're like, I think at that time they were close to $1,000. Now I think you can get them for like $800 a battery. So it's expensive. And you don't want to mix and match different brands of batteries or different sizes of batteries. So you kind of have to stick with what you have or scratch it and start over. And I'm not ready to throw away whatever, almost $3,000 worth of batteries. So we're stuck with Battleborn for now. But yeah, it's worked out great for us. You don't have to have so many batteries. You can either go with a big battery bank or you can go with a big array of solar panels, and we chose the solar panels over the battery, and one day maybe our battery bank will equal or kind of match our solar panels, but till then.
So investing in an entire solar system with panels and charge controllers and all the wires and everything is going to be your most expensive way to go for your off-grid power setup. It is the nicest and the most convenient and the quietest and the most enjoyable but the most expensive. So if you're just starting out, you don't have to have it to boondock though. And that's my point, is anybody can boondock with pretty much any setup. I will say though, if you are looking for panels, I highly recommend Santan Solar. That's where we got our panels. They offer new and used panels at really great rates. So that's where we got all 14 of our panels from. I'll put a link in the description below, and a discount code WildRVLife5 will get you 5% off. If you're wanting to see more about our solar system, our setup, our DIY setup, then I'll link a video of us installing this huge solar system on our brand new Brinkley in the description below and here on the screen. It's pretty funny, we've been talking all about our boondocking setup for our power, our solar and batteries, because this week I wake up, I open the shades, I start working, Craig comes out to make coffee, and the power shut off. And he went out there and checked the batteries and found one of the batteries had a loose terminal. Everything was all melted and everything on it.
Yeah, I think the terminal was loose inside the battery, so wherever it connects in there, and then it melted like the battery.
And we thought, okay, cool, we have Battleborn batteries, 10-year warranty, no big deal. We called them, they're gonna send us a loaner battery in the meantime, and we're gonna send this one off for repair or replacement.
Weird is when I woke up this morning, the batteries were dead, the RV was off, even though we didn't run anything. But the smart shunt said I still had 80% battery life left, but the batteries were dead.
The Victron stuff, that percentage value is a calculated value, so it's the first thing that kind of gets wonky.
All right, so I just got off the phone with Battleborn. Right now we are doing a test. The plan is to turn a bunch of stuff on, which we have. We're drawing about 40 amps right now, just to see how long it takes to drain these batteries. 40 amps from 200 amp hour batteries, it should take 5 hours, a little less than 5 hours, 4 to 5 hours, somewhere in there. If it's anything less than that, then there's something wrong with them, and we'll be sending them back with our other one.
But then that was actually not the end of the issues.
No, so after I took that battery out or whatever, and then I had 2 more, so it puts us at 200 amp hour of lithium batteries.
Still pretty good.
Yeah, it definitely should get us through the night, but it didn't. So
in the last 2 nights, 3 nights, how many nights has it been? I don't even know.
I don't know.
We can't get a full night's sleep because the batteries keep dying and then things start beeping. The fridge, the carbon monoxide, the Bluetooth speaker.
Yeah,
beep,
like
beep,
there's
beep.
so many. Like if your batteries are dying, you're not sleeping.
No. So we've been like shutting it the entire RV off.
Then your refrigerator's not on, and that's not good.
Yeah.
What's weird though is like we had a similar issue with a battery before. We've only bought 3 batteries from them. So far, one has tore up or broke, like with a loose terminal, and now it's happened again. And there's something else going on. So there's at least another battery.
We've seen online too that this has happened to other people. So I know it's not just us with the loose terminals. So I don't know.
Yeah, so we'll call them, figure out what we got to do and how many batteries they're going to need to send us, because we can't just not have power.
Yeah, it makes boondocking a little hard when you have no batteries, it seems.
Yeah.
That's not the ideal boondocking setup. Would not suggest it. So we'll see how this goes.
So we're definitely getting either most of one or half of both, right?
We have to charge the batteries all the way back up, and then after they're fully charged, I have to unhook them from everything and each other and then test the volts. It does appear that one of the batteries has failed, possibly both, but it seems like it's just going to be one more battery that has failed.
So the other unfortunate thing about the battery issues is that the fridge has spent many hours off over the past 3 days, because when everything goes off, it just turns off, and now it's starting to smell in here, and I think I'm just gonna have to throw out a bunch of stuff because I don't know what's good and what's bad. Some things, obviously, like got some pickles in here. I could probably keep the pickles because they're already pickled, but gonna have to throw away a bunch of food. Okay, we're down to 1 battery, but back to boondocking stuff. We've got to find somewhere to put this trash and fill up the water bladder, because we're really out of water, and Craig stinks.
You stink.
I would say probably the most difficult part about boondocking is water, and conserving water and water consumption. Do you agree?
I agree, if you're boondocking longer than what you can last on your single tank.
Which for us is about 7 days. But even so, I'd say 7 days is pretty good. There's a lot of big water wasters, showers being the biggest, I think, water wasters. Also,
our toilet has been pretty wasteful with this new RV, but also I think the second biggest one is dishes.
Dishes. And kids who don't turn off the faucet, I imagine, are pretty big water wasters.
Or dogs that roll and poop.
Or dogs that roll and poop, and then you have to give them baths.
Yeah.
But our biggest things that we've done to help save water is, 1, switching out our shower head. That has helped a lot. I'll link our shower head in the description below. You want to look for one that uses a low gallons per minute.
Yeah, this one has been really good because it uses less water. It also has the button to turn off at the head, so you don't have to turn it all the way on. I don't know, you can just save a lot of water with it, and because the spray is such a fine spray, it feels like it has good pressure even with not so much water.
Yeah. And the biggest rule is, if you're not actively using the water, turn it off. So if you're washing your hands and you're lathering up, turn it off. Brushing your teeth, don't leave the water running. Taking a shower while you're lathering up, that water better not be on. That's honestly the biggest way to save water. If the water's running and you're not under it, the A shouldn't be on. With dishes, a lot of people will use a dish pan or a bucket or whatever for rinsing the dishes. So you soap them all up, wash them, and then just rinse them in the bucket. We don't do that. We should maybe try it. I don't know.
In a bucket?
Yeah, rinse them in a bucket.
Our buckets had car washing soap
maybe
and dirt
different
on
buckets.
it.
We might need new buckets. But if you've got any other water conserving tips, drop them in the comments below, because we will all learn from them. Any way you can save water is good if you're going to be boondocking. You got any other water saving tips?
No. Couldn't think of any. You could pee outside, I guess.
So that is one I know that a lot of people do. The guys will pee outside. I'm not peeing outside.
I don't want to have to go outside to pee. It's too much work. I'll just refill the bladder once a week.
Yeah. So that's what we'll talk about next. How do you refill your water tank? So the best app that we've found for finding places to fill up water is iOverlander. You can just go to the map near you, look for the little water icon, click on it, and you'll find out what kind of water it is, whether it's a place to fill up like jugs at a big spigot, or if it's like a purified water station. And there'll be recent reviews that you can see as well to see if it's still open, if it's free, if somebody told them not to get water there and then don't go there. But yeah.
There's a lot of different ways to get water. This is actually the second way, I guess, that we decided to do it. We used to just carry some 5-gallon buckets and fill them up every time we went into a town, and then we'd put it in our tank or whatever, and that was fine. It worked. We just had to always take the buckets with us. Some people use water jugs. There's collapsible water jugs and stuff like that. I like the water bladder because it does hold 60 gallons, and then like when it's empty, it can be put away in a tiny space. So it's been pretty nice.
Like we said, we usually last about 7 days before we run out of water from our fresh water tank, which holds about 72 gallons, but we've got 90 gallons in our grays combined and then 45 on blacks, so we can fill up pretty much our fresh water tank all over again using the bladder, and that lets us stay at a boondocking spot for about 14 days before we need to go dump the tanks again. What happened? Why did you do that? I'm just getting an extra shower.
You need it.
He needs a shower.
I never stink.
He needs a
I
shower.
literally don't ever even have to wear deodorant because I just never stink.
That is actually true, and he's a freak of nature, and it's not fair. It's a leaking. I think we got a little bit of hole. So when it comes to getting the water from whatever you have it in to your tank, we're fancy now. And we got one of these things, and if you have one of these things, what is called Nautilus system,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Then you can probably just use it to suction from wherever your water is into the tank. But if you don't have that, then what do you gotta do? You can be like Craig and siphon manually the water from the bucket into the gravity feed if you have one of those.
I don't recommend it. It is a lot.
In fact,
Somebody felt bad for us and gave us a
Acme
pump.
Tools felt so bad for us after watching Craig do that they sent us a battery-powered Milwaukee pump that has worked fantastic anytime we need to transfer water. So battery-powered pumps are a great way to get water from, say, a water bladder, buckets, jugs, wherever, and into your RV if you have a gravity-fed, like, water fill hole.
Now we just wait the rest of our lives. I say this every time.
I will say that the fancy way actually takes a lot longer than the Milwaukee battery-powered pumps, so just saying. Sometimes being fancy isn't as good. Almost done.
Almost. These flies are biting me.
They're literally biting flies, but they look like regular flies. They're not regular
so
flies.
many tonight though. I don't know why. It's not been this bad.
The flies. Eat them up, Maverick. Eat up the flies. Back to dry camping mode. Fancy.
Done.
We've been boondocking off-grid for 30 days straight. And as you know, we recently started experiencing some battery problems, and so we've been living off one 100 amp hour lithium battery, which is better than nothing, but not our favorite thing to do now that we've been spoiled with several batteries and a big solar system. So we are heading to full hookups today. And I have to admit, I'm really excited for this long hot shower I'm about to get tonight. One thing I always do before we travel is sweep the floor. I especially need to do it today because the dog shredded one of their toys, and so there's little pieces of dog toy everywhere. And this floor is that vinyl sheet flooring, so it can potentially tear. So something I always do is I make sure and lift it up and sweep all the way underneath the vinyl sheet. And I always find surprisingly more dirt under there than you would think. And on that note, we're getting ready to pull the slides in and get out of here. So let us know in the comments if you found these boondocking tips helpful. We have some other ideas on some cool boondocking videos we can do. Let us know if you want to see them, and hit the subscribe button because next week we will hopefully be getting our batteries back and making our system whole again. Fingers crossed. See you guys next week.